Hello, my name is Dr. Liam Schubel, and welcome to another edition of Schubel Vision Elite Interviews, where today we'll be interviewing Dr. Thom Gelardi, the founder of Sherman College of Chiropractic, and I'm joined here with my friend Dr. Frankie Hahn and Dr. Judd Nogrady of the Schubel Vision Elite team. Enjoy the interview. So, Thom, how do you see the relationship between mission, purpose, philosophy, science, and art?
Uh, I think that's been a big problem in the profession. And I think it's clear in my mind now that mission, in the yin yang philosophy, there's the movable and the immovable. And the immovable is your mission. That you can't move from. And you have to know what that is very clearly, what the limits are and the breadth of it is, and so on. But that mission, and if you look any place in great sayings of the world, everyone says people refuse to follow a person who doesn't know where they're going. And if you don't know where you're going, any plan will do. And all sorts of things relating to mission. And that's the immovable. The movable part of a profession is the philosophy, science, and art. We don't have the same art in chiropractic today that they had 80 years ago or 50 years ago. We don't have the same science, and we don't have the same philosophy. The philosophy has changed even in Sherman College from the time it was formed to today. The philosophy has shifted around, and it's gotten better, actually. So those are the movable parts of it, and they serve the mission. But if you think that, I think Joe Strauss said in his book that he wants to see that we preserve the philosophy. I don't want to preserve it, and he blames me for wanting to preserve the art. I don't want to preserve either one. I want them all to evolve and get better and better. I want to preserve the mission that basically people live without subluxation. Now, science may show that we don't completely understand the subluxation as we think it is, but I'm convinced, and I've been wrong before on a lot of things, but I'm convinced that there's something of a subluxation. And we can duplicate, with trained people, we could duplicate the findings. Fritjof Capra speaks about the meditators of the East. And he said they're saying the same thing because Fritjof Capra is a subatomic particle physicist. And he said, but they're saying the same thing we're saying. They just say it differently in philosophical terms. He says, now, to say it the way I say it, you have to have 16 years of college. But he says, to say it the way they say it, you need 20-something years of practice, of meditation. He says, but we don't understand it because we don't have enough knowledge in it. And I think the more knowledge I've gotten, the more I understand that there's something that's real. Because I've just seen with patients, they figure out the philosophy or anything else. But you could use all the philosophy in the world. You can get somebody hyped up temporarily. It's like a drug therapy. But that's not going to build or sustain a practice. That you've got to correct that subluxation. And it's very difficult if you haven't had it in school. I think groups, but it's hard to find people who want to put in the effort. They think it's in practice building. And rather, if you got a group that say, well, look, I want to know Gunstead. Let's find some people that want to know Gunstead and go. Because BJ said, slipping and checking. If you don't check the slipping, you'll just keep slipping. I mean, golfers, everybody has coaches. And so you almost need, I used to love to have Dr. Sherman, and he would come over to my office and put an afternoon in just watching me.
Wow.
And tell me what I was doing wrong. And it was a great, great thing. we benefited from, and so on. I should tell a story. Betty's dad was diabetic, and one time he drove down from Illinois, and his toe, I had a photograph of it, I still may have it, but anyway, from his big toe down here was just black, like black leather shoes, shiny and black and swollen. But he had to go to bed, he had a fever and so on. And he had a very short neck and kind of a bull neck. Anyway, I couldn't get him cleared out. Dr. Sherman was away at the time and just couldn't get it cleared out. So I asked Dr. Kale if he'd come over. And he did. And we made the graph readings and we saw the patterns were there and so on. And Dr. Kale tried to adjust him. But what we would do in the bed, we couldn't get him out of the bed, turn him on his side, and, got Gray's Anatomy and a few big books, and press him into the mattress, and a person would toggle. And nothing. So we heard about a chiropractor in Greenville. He was Sid's friend, and he ran for president of the ICA one year. And we asked him to come up. Well, he didn't like the graph reading. He wanted just the NCM, where he could see it wiggle and so on. So he said, well, there's some full spine things. And he moved vertebra really easily. I was just impressed with how he could move vertebra. And so then he took it and says, this is all clear. I said, okay, but I said, you could use the NCM, but I want to use a graph. And Mike Kale was with us that day. He wanted to see what went on too. So we looked, and he said, it's in good shape. I said, well, I appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you for coming over. He drove all the way from Greenville, which was over 50 miles. So I thanked him, and he left. And then Mike said to me, nothing changed. I said, no, but he thought he did it, and you can't, if he thinks he did it, what else can he do?
Yeah.
So let him go. Well, then Dr. Sherman returned. And so I called Dr. Sherman up. So he does everything, and he says, yeah, he certainly is subluxated. So I said, well, let me get the pillow out of there, and I'll get the books, and we can put it, you leave him on the pillow. Leave him on the pillow. That pillow's just going, the neck's going to go down, And so anyway, he took his contact over there, and boop. And you didn't see the pillow even give it all. But when he adjusted because he used to take care of me. And so on. Got out the readings, everything's perfect. Just unbelievable. He was so fast and so light. I think I could let him do it 30 times for me in a row. I mean, just as far as moving the bone. Yeah. And it wouldn't wear my neck out. I mean, just he was just that. And precise in his contact and everything. He was an unusual guy.
Thom, what is vertebral subluxation-centered chiropractic? And how does that differ from subluxation-based chiropractic?
Oh, okay. One time we were at a CCE meeting, and I'm trying to think of her name at Canadian Memorial, a woman who was president. Anyway, we're all getting ready to leave. We're working on the what was her name?
Moss, Jean Moss.
Jean Moss. Let's see. No, it wasn't a CCE meeting. It was an ACC meeting. And we were working on the chiropractic paradigm. And we got up to go to lunch. For some reason or other, Sid was sitting a couple seats down from me. Jean Moss was across the table, but most everybody had gone out of the room. And Jean Moss, I was just getting ready to leave, and Jean Moss said to Sid, what does subluxation based mean? I knew what it meant in my own mind, but he confirmed it. He's let me say this. He said, we have some trustees that really don't practice straight chiropractic. And the students get after us saying, how do you allow those people when you're talking one way and they're doing something else? So I tried to work on it, figure out how I could explain it that would get me out of that kind of a jam. And I'm standing there while we're talking. And so as I come up with the idea of subluxation based, that when a person comes in, the base is the adjustment, and then you can do what you want on top of that. But at least you form the base as the adjustment. Like, I used to think it's ridiculous. Chiropractic first, medicine second,
Right.
surgery last, or what. I thought how terrible the thing is. But so anyway, that to me showed exactly, Sid knew exactly what I did. When you have rubber-based paint, or oil-based paint, or water-based paint, most of it is water. Most of it is oil. The coloring is just a little bit of the paint is just a little bit of it. When you have a statue on a base, the base is the big thing, little statues on top of the thing. I said, we're not the base of, it's not chiropractic based. Now, centered means this, and it goes back to Ayn Rand, that anything that's great and beautiful is made of one central idea, and that idea sets every detail. So if you're practicing chiropractic, you say, what's a central idea? To bring in people and to see if they leave here without a subluxation. That's what your center is. But what about the equipment that you have? Does that agree with your center? What about your conversation? What about your magazines? What about everything around you? You know what I mean? How the way you take a case history, everything. If you're centered, you're centered. And in a college, you say, well, what is this piece of equipment? How do we make up the budget? Well, first of all, we have to satisfy the state and the accrediting agency and all these other pieces, just stay in business. But after that, in that little bit of space that you do have some authority, are you using your center to know what you're about? And a college ought to say what their center is to turn out practitioners who are on fire and are competent to go out and adjust subluxations. You're not going to win on every person that comes through your doors,
right.
But at least so centered is beautiful compared to base, I think. And a lot of people are changing over now to centered.
Totally. I know the first time I heard that terminology was with Dr. Myron Brown. That was one of my first interactions with Sherman College. And again, being a graduate from Life, I had always told everybody I was subluxation-based practitioner. And Dr. Brown said to me, well, what do you do in your office? I said, I detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation. He goes, anything else? I go, no. And he says, well, then you're subluxation centered, you know? And so again, I just fell into it by accident, by being involved with people from Sherman College. And you're right, that is growing now worldwide, because frankly, in many parts of the world, it's illegal to practice anything other than subluxation-centered chiropractic, because there are other professions that have been established legally for 100 years that are doing those other things. So, for example, nutrition or physiotherapy, those professions have already been established way before chiropractic has. So when you go into those countries, if you go in with a subluxation-based model where you're doing other ancillary procedures, you can get yourself into some very hot water in practice. So, you know, I often say too, and especially with the insurance model that we have worldwide, the subluxation-centered model, people are not going to move to that necessarily because it's the right thing to do. What people are going to start to move to that because it's going to be the only economically feasible way to practice chiropractic. You know, I think about the Great Depression, and chiropractors a lot of them did very well during the Great Depression because they were focused on something that people couldn't get anywhere else, and it was allowing these people to continue their work or continue, you know, to their movement, and they were restoring people's lives. And if the person paid in chickens, they were paying chickens. If they paid in eggs, they paid in eggs. But there was still a level of exchange for a unique selling proposition, and that's what chiropractic offers. And that could be offered in a cash-based environment, in an insurance environment, in any environment that you want. But the chiropractor will always rise to the top that can produce in that model. Whereas if you're in a totally insurance-based model that is symptom-oriented or condition-oriented, you could throw in the kitchen sink as long as insurance is paying for it. But when they pull the insurance away from you, then where are you? And that's,
that's going to play very well into our hands in this country, because if you get back to the spine, if they have any training in the spine or get training in the spine, there's some way where they need to get. And while Mike Kale was, to me, a pain in the butt, for Sherman College and so on, but he did a world of good, because he got people back on the spine, and it's a variance of, I think that there could be refinements on that. A lot of people did make refinements, but at least he got a lot of people back to the spine, and I think he did a world of good there. I just wonder, just like everything, they're complex problems, because student loans is one of the major problems for mixing, because they have to take off so fast, and the length of education and so forth. Someone told me, he's a doctor of divinity, and he said, you give someone 6 months of Bible school and they'll go any place in the world and preach the Bible. Right. But as they get worn out after 8 years they just want to know how many assistant ministers is they're going to have, and so on. And what's the retirement plan like? And so it plays out in everything. But the other thing is, too, and I find in foreign, I don't have as much experience as you have with foreign doctors, but I know in Japan, they think, 15 patients a day is a big practice.
That's right.
That's horrible. And let me think this too. What I did in my own practice, I said, I don't have to take x-rays. Get somebody else to take the x-rays. And I had two assistants in my office, moving patients, keeping the books and so on. And I just floated around the rooms, and people say, don't do anything you don't have to do yourself, and get somebody else to do it. It's a lot cheaper, but then fill your office. But if you love what you do, to me, I just feel bad I can't practice now. I like to see it's, if that was as good as the last time.
Yeah, see the light bulb go on every time.
Yeah, and it's not even about seeing I like to see their lives improve, but just to see if I got a clear out, how many strokes did you do it in, doc?
Yeah, it's you're testing yourself constantly, right? You're challenging yourself. Yeah. Can you deliver, right?
Yeah.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that interview with the founder of Sherman College, Dr. Thom Gelardi. This is Dr. Liam Schubel signing off with my good friends Dr. Frankie Hahn and Dr. Judd Nogrady. And we'll see you next time on the Schubel Vision Elite exclusive interview.